You know, there's something profound about a young boy standing in the rubble of post-war Austria, looking up at mountains that seem to touch the sky and daring to dream beyond them. In that small village of Thal, where the scars of war were still fresh and dreams were often considered dangerous luxuries, a child named Arnold Schwarzenegger was about to begin a journey that would unknowingly embody the deepest principles of ancient wisdom. Life, you see, has a peculiar way of teaching its greatest lessons through the most unexpected teachers. In the quiet moments between dawn workouts in a frozen gym, through countless repetitions with makeshift weights, and in the solitude of early morning runs through Austrian streets, young Arnold was practicing what ancient philosophers had preached centuries before, though he didn't know it then. His simple wooden bed in that modest house would become the unexpected cradle of a philosophy as old as civilization itself. The ancient Stoics spoke of accepting what we cannot change, while focusing our energy on what we can control. They taught that true strength comes not from circumstances, but from our response to them. And there, in that small village where resources were scarce and opportunities even scarcer, a young man was living these principles without ever reading Seneca's letters or Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. His story would become more than just a tale of success. It would become a testament to the timeless wisdom that has guided humanity through its greatest challenges. What unfolded from those humble beginnings wasn't just the story of a bodybuilder who became a movie star, who became a governor. No. What unfolded was something far more profound, a living example of how ancient wisdom manifests in modern times, how timeless principles of resilience and perseverance can shape not just a body, but a destiny. And in understanding this journey, we might just find the key to unlocking our own potential for transformation. Welcome to Rise Stoically, where we uncover the profound wisdom hiding in plain sight within the stories of modern icons. For those who think philosophy belongs only in dusty textbooks or ivory towers, prepare to see how these ancient teachings breathe life into the most extraordinary journeys of our time. This isn't just another channel about success stories. This is about understanding the timeless principles that make such success possible. If you've ever wondered how ancient wisdom can transform modern lives, or how timeless principles can guide us through contemporary challenges, you're in the right place. We're about to embark on a journey that will change how you think about success, resilience, and the power of philosophical principles in action. Now, folks, in the next few moments, we're going to explore how Arnold Schwarzenegger's remarkable journey naturally aligns with the core principles of Stoic philosophy, not through conscious study, but through lived experience. We'll uncover how his response to poverty, adversity, and countless setbacks mirrors the teachings of ancient philosophers who wrote their wisdom thousands of years ago. From his early days in that small Austrian village, to the heights of Hollywood success, and into the chambers of political office, we'll examine how each phase of his life demonstrates key Stoic principles in action. Whether you're facing personal challenges, professional obstacles, or simply seeking to build a stronger character, the lessons we'll uncover today will provide you with practical tools for your own journey of transformation. Early life and the seeds of Stoic resilience. Let's pause for a moment and really consider what it means to grow up in a place where dreams seem more like burdens than possibilities. You see, in post-war Austria, young Arnold's family lived in a house without plumbing, where every meal was a reminder of scarcity, and where his father's strict discipline cast long shadows across their daily lives. But it was in this very environment that the seeds of Stoic resilience first took root, though neither Arnold nor his family had ever heard of Epictetus or his teachings. The ancient Stoics taught that true wealth lies not in what we possess, but in how we respond to our circumstances. In young Arnold's case, this principle manifested in a particularly powerful way. When his family couldn't afford to heat his room during harsh Austrian winters, he didn't just endure the cold, he embraced it. He would later recall how he trained himself to view the discomfort not as a hardship, but as preparation for the mental toughness he would need in pursuit of his dreams. This early lesson in reframing adversity aligns perfectly with what Epictetus meant when he said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Young Arnold, without knowing it, was already practicing this fundamental Stoic principle. When other children complained about their chores, Arnold turned his mandatory housework into opportunities for exercise, doing squats while collecting water from the well, turning every mundane task into a step toward his greater vision. Now consider this moment. At age 15, he first encountered a magazine featuring Reg Park, the bodybuilder turned actor. In a village where such ambitions were considered foolish at best, Arnold didn't just dream, he acted. He began crafting primitive workout equipment from tree branches and bicycle parts, demonstrating what the Stoics called resourceful action in the face of limitation. When his father removed the house's front door to punish him for doing push-ups against it, Arnold simply found another way, another place, another method. The parallel here with Marcus Aurelius's teaching about obstacles is striking. The Roman emperor wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Without ever reading these words, Arnold was living them. Each limitation became a catalyst for creativity, each restriction an invitation to innovation. The bodybuilding years discipline as philosophy. Now folks, picture this with me. A military barracks transformed into a gym, where a teenage Arnold would spend hours practicing the art of physical transformation. But what was happening in that converted barracks was far more than just muscle building. It was the forging of a philosophy through action, the cultivation of what the Stoics called disciplined perception. You see, during his mandatory service in the Austrian army, Arnold would often sneak away to continue his training, sometimes going AWOL to compete in bodybuilding competitions. Now, while this might seem reckless to some, it demonstrated another key Stoic principle: the importance of determining what truly matters and pursuing it with single-minded focus. As Seneca wrote, "Let all your efforts be directed to something, let it keep that end in view." The daily routine Arnold developed during these years reads like a modern interpretation of Stoic practices: rising before dawn, training through exhaustion, maintaining strict dietary discipline. These weren't just bodybuilding protocols, they were exercises in what the Stoics called voluntary hardship. Marcus Aurelius advocated for embracing discomfort as a way to build resilience. And in the cold gyms of Austria, Arnold was living this principle with every repetition. Now here's something fascinating. In an era when most bodybuilders focused solely on physical training, Arnold understood the power of visualization and mental preparation. He would spend hours studying anatomy books, visualizing how each exercise would affect specific muscle groups. This mirrors the Stoic practice of detailed contemplation and understanding of natural processes. When other athletes complained about the pain of training, Arnold famously reframed it, saying he welcomed the burning sensation in his muscles because each moment of discomfort was bringing him closer to his goals. This perfectly echoes Epictetus's teaching that it's not events themselves that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. Without formal philosophical training, Arnold had discovered one of Stoicism's most powerful tools: the ability to transform our relationship with discomfort. Let me tell you about his approach to competition preparation. While others saw their competitors as threats, Arnold viewed them as necessary challenges for his own growth. He would often train with his rivals, learning from them rather than fearing them. This embodies the Stoic principle of focusing not on what we cannot control, our competitors' abilities, but on what we can control, our own preparation and mindset. Coming to America, transforming obstacles into opportunities. Now imagine this moment with me, stepping off a plane in America with broken English, $27 in your pocket, and a dream that most people would call impossible. The year was 1968, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was about to demonstrate another fundamental Stoic principle: the art of turning obstacles into opportunities. The ancient Stoics taught that what appears to block our path often marks the path itself. When Arnold arrived in America, his heavy Austrian accent was immediately pointed out as a career-killing liability. But rather than viewing this as an insurmountable obstacle, he approached it with what Marcus Aurelius would have recognized as the discriminating mind, the ability to see opportunity where others see only barriers. In those early American days, Arnold worked multiple jobs while pursuing his bodybuilding career. He started a bricklaying business with fellow bodybuilder Franco Columbu, using the money to fund his training and education. This mirrors Musonius Rufus's teaching that practical work and philosophical growth are not separate pursuits, but part of the same path toward excellence. You know what's particularly striking about this period? It's how Arnold handled the cultural shock and skepticism he faced. When people laughed at his accent or dismissed his ambitions, he didn't react with anger or despair. Instead, he demonstrated what Epictetus called the proper use of impressions, the ability to see things not as they first appear, but as opportunities for growth and advantage. Let me tell you about how he approached learning American business practices. While many immigrants felt overwhelmed by the complexity of American entrepreneurship, Arnold studied real estate between his workouts, eventually turning his modest earnings into successful property investments. This exemplifies the Stoic principle of continuous learning and adaptation, showing how wisdom comes not from comfortable circumstances, but from engaging actively with life's challenges. The Hollywood journey, persistence and adaptation. Now let me paint you a picture of Hollywood in the 1970s. Every acting coach and casting director had a clear image of what a leading man should look and sound like. Arnold Schwarzenegger fit none of these expectations. Yet his approach to breaking into acting provides us with another masterclass in Stoic principles applied to modern challenges. You see, when they told him his body was too muscular for Hollywood, his name too difficult to pronounce, and his accent too thick for leading roles, Arnold's response was pure stoicism in action. Rather than trying to conform to existing standards, he chose to focus on what the Stoics would call his natural advantages, the very things others saw as weaknesses. The way he approached his early acting career, well, it mirrors something profound that Epictetus taught about working with what we have rather than lamenting what we lack. Instead of trying to hide his accent or downplay his physique, Arnold waited for roles where these characteristics could become assets. This patience paid off with Conan the Barbarian, where his unique physical presence and distinctive voice became essential to the character. Now, here's something particularly instructive about this period: how Arnold applied the Stoic principle of focused effort to his acting craft. Just as he had approached bodybuilding with systematic dedication, he now took acting classes, worked with voice coaches, and studied the business side of Hollywood. When critics dismissed him as just a bodybuilder trying to act, he responded not with defensiveness, but with determined improvement. A living example of the Stoic teaching that the only meaningful response to criticism is constructive action. Let me tell you about a decision that really shows his character. Taking on comedic roles like Twins and Kindergarten Cop, when action stars were expected to maintain a serious, tough guy image. This willingness to risk ridicule in pursuit of growth reflects what Marcus Aurelius meant when he wrote about the importance of being willing to change course when wisdom demands it. Political life and public service, duty and purpose. Now folks, the path from entertainment to public service might seem unusual to some, but through the lens of Stoic philosophy, Arnold's transition into politics represents something deeper, a natural progression of what the ancients called civic duty. When he announced his candidacy for governor of California in 2003, many dismissed it as a publicity stunt. Yet his approach to this new challenge demonstrated the same philosophical principles that had guided his earlier transformations. You see, Marcus Aurelius, who balanced his role as philosopher with his duties as Roman emperor, wrote extensively about the obligation of service to society. Similarly, Arnold's decision to enter politics wasn't driven by ego or ambition, but by a genuine desire to contribute to the greater good. As he often stated, he had already achieved fame and fortune. What he sought now was significance. Let me share with you how he handled the intense scrutiny and criticism that came with political life. When opponents attacked his lack of political experience, he responded not with defensiveness, but with intensive study and preparation. He surrounded himself with experienced advisors and immersed himself in policy details, demonstrating the Stoic principle that wisdom comes through humble learning rather than presumed knowledge. His approach to governing California during times of crisis, well, It mirrors Seneca's teachings about leadership under pressure. When faced with the state's budget crisis, he chose politically unpopular but necessary measures, showing what the Stoics called moral courage, the willingness to do what's right rather than what's popular. His ability to work across party lines, often angering members of his own party, reflected the Stoic ideal of placing principle above partisan advantage. Personal challenges and modern wisdom. You know, life has a way of testing our principles most severely, just when we think we've mastered them. In the later chapters of Arnold's journey, personal challenges and public controversies would put his resilience to the ultimate test. The revelation of personal indiscretions, health challenges including multiple heart surgeries, and the very public end of his marriage to Maria Shriver created what you might call a perfect storm of adversity. Now it's in these moments of greatest challenge that the true depth of philosophical resilience reveals itself. The Stoics taught that character isn't formed in times of ease, but revealed in times of difficulty. Arnold's response to these personal crises demonstrates this principle in action. Rather than retreating from public life or becoming bitter, he faced his mistakes with what Epictetus would have recognized as philosophical acceptance, acknowledging error without letting it define the future. Let me tell you about his approach to health challenges, particularly his heart surgeries. When faced with his own mortality, Arnold displayed the calm acceptance that Stoics advocate in the face of life's ultimate realities. He approached his recovery with the same disciplined mindset he had applied to training, showing how Stoic principles can guide us through both physical and emotional challenges. Now, what's particularly instructive about this period is how Arnold has used his experiences, both triumphs and failures, to mentor others. Through his social media presence, environmental advocacy, and public speaking, he has transformed personal lessons into public wisdom. This mirrors the Stoic teaching that true wisdom isn't just about personal growth, but about contributing to the greater good of society. Now consider how he has handled aging and the inevitable physical changes it brings. For someone whose identity was so closely tied to physical prowess, the limitations of aging could have been devastating. Instead, Arnold has demonstrated what the Stoics called graceful adaptation, the ability to accept change while finding new ways to remain effective and engaged in life. Synthesizing wisdom. As we look back across this remarkable journey, from that small Austrian village to global influence, we can see how timeless philosophical principles become powerful tools for transformation when put into action. Arnold Schwarzenegger's story isn't just about success. It's about the fundamental truths that guide human achievement across any era, any circumstance. Now think about your own journey for a moment. Those obstacles that seem to block your path, they might just be showing you where that path truly leads. The limitations that appear to hold you back, they could be the very tools you'll use to forge your strength. Just as Arnold transformed a cold room into a lesson in mental toughness or an accent into a trademark, every challenge in your life holds the seed of opportunity. The principles we've explored today, focusing on what we can control, turning obstacles into opportunities, maintaining discipline in the face of adversity, adapting to change while staying true to our purpose. These aren't just philosophical concepts. They're practical tools that have been tested across centuries and proven effective in our modern world. What makes this story particularly powerful is that it demonstrates how ancient wisdom naturally expresses itself through action, even without formal study. Arnold's journey shows us that true philosophy isn't about memorizing ancient texts. It's about living principles that resonate with the deepest truths of human experience. Take a moment now to consider your own challenges. What obstacles are you facing that could be reframed as opportunities? What limitations could become advantages? The principles that guided Arnold's transformation from a small-town Austrian boy to a global icon are available to each of us, waiting to be put into action. In our next episode, we'll explore another modern icon whose life unconsciously embodied ancient wisdom, showing how timeless principles continue to shape extraordinary achievements in our contemporary world. Until then, remember that every challenge you face is an opportunity to practice these principles in your own life. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. How have you seen these Stoic principles at work in your own journey? What obstacles have you transformed into opportunities? Join our community of modern philosophers as we explore how ancient wisdom guides us through modern challenges. Remember, subscribing to Rise Stoically isn't just about watching videos. It's about joining a movement of people committed to building stronger, more resilient versions of themselves. Hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and become part of a community dedicated to living philosophy rather than just studying it. And as Arnold himself would say, I'll be back with more insights, more wisdom, and more practical applications of timeless philosophical principles in our modern world.